And so what we got here, we got a More Perfect Union video called "He Voted for Trump, It Cost Him His Job." Now, I don't watch these videos. As you guys well know, I don't watch these videos. So it's always a fun game to play, guys. What do you guys think? Do you think this guy is going to be upset with Trump? Which part of the spectrum are you guys putting this young man on? Now, I'll give you some hints because it's More Perfect Union. If this was Jordan Klepper, if this is The Good Liars, you know this man's going to say some crazy shit. Because it's More Perfect Union, this man's probably going to have like at least half of his frontal lobe left. Okay? Half of it. The rest is just wasted away in Fox News and conspiracy theories. But most likely, this man's going to be a little sad about losing his job. We're going to find out about that. We watched a video where this IRS guy, of all people, a fucking IRS guy, of all fucking people, voted for Trump. He voted for Trump. I'm like, if you were in the IRS and you voted for Trump, you deserve to be fired. That's, I don't know how to even explain to you how fucking stupid you are. And he was 10 toes down, guys. He's like, I understand what Trump is doing. I understand. I get it. I get it. So I don't know. This might be him. This might be it right here, guys. He'll say, I need to speak with the manager. Dude. Stella. He said, I need to speak with the manager. Oh, man. Oh, dude. He looks like he chews Formica as a hobby. Oh. Guys, I gotta look at the chat more. It's hard because usually I got my chat right here in front of me, but I don't know how to pop out this chat. I need to do that. I need to figure it out. Oh, those are good. Oh, those are good. All right. So let's watch the video. Let's find out. Let's find out what this man says.
I had heard people say if you vote for this, you're going to get what you voted for. But that's what people say every election.
A catastrophic wave of layoffs is hitting electricians.
My brother. My brother in Christ. Yeah, that's usually like you can get health care. Or maybe like the minimum wage getting raised. Shit, if it's Bush, it's like we're going to war. Like, I mean, it's usually not what you get when, like, Trump doesn't. The one thing you got to give Trump is he loudly tells everybody exactly what the fuck he's going to do. Like, you got to be a special kind of stupid to be like, I just didn't see this coming. I'm putting this guy in the IRS. He's now in the IRS, actually. This dude's in that category.
In Maine. It may be a preview of hundreds of thousands of jobs that could be lost nationwide after President Trump and Republicans just repealed billions in clean energy investments.
It was like a light switch got opened, and all of our work just disappeared overnight.
Don't forget to hydrate,
We went
guys.
to Maine, where a solar boom has already come to an abrupt halt.
I got laid off at the beginning of May.
Oh no, if you work in green energy, yeah, if you work in green energy, you in the IRS. You right there too. And people don't understand this. Like, I come from the health food industry, right? So I've been repping green energy for a long ass time, right? Before it was cool. So if you don't understand this, installing solar panels, one of the guys I work with actually took on that job. One of the guys, when I first began working at the store I work at, we first began there, he was a cashier, I was a department manager. He actually got a job in solar panels. And he fully created a career for himself and now has a wife and children and a home, built himself the American dream off of working in solar panels. The Inflation Reduction Act brought extra funding to these types of things because we're like, I'm the type of person, I'm like, you shouldn't hate Chinese people. You shouldn't hate China, right? You can hate the government for all the shit they do with the Uyghurs, all the stuff that happens with the way the government, you know, encroaches on the privacy of its citizens, all that stuff. But China as a whole, the people that are over there are just people like me and you. Just people like me and you. They just want to go to work, pay their rent, eat some good food, go to Taco Bell every once in a while, make some mistakes. You know what I'm saying. But what they're doing, they are our competitor. And competition is good. Competition breeds innovation. That's something that we've talked about a million times here in America. They love to tell you about that shit. Well, right now, what is going on in this country is we are stepping the fuck out of the race. China currently is a 100-meter dash, and we are 50 meters into this dash, and China is about 10 meters ahead of us because they've already done a better job than we have. Donald Trump doesn't even know how many wind farms China has. He just today was like, I talked to the guy, I talked to Xi Jinping. I said, how many wind farms? He said, not many. Not many. He's so dumb. He's so fucking dumb. So they're already light years ahead of us when it comes to green energy. Which means by the time we get out of this mess that Donald Trump has made, we're going to be even further behind. They're going to have finished the 100 meters and they're going to have started on the mile. And they're already about 1,000 meters into it. I don't know. Is that a mile? Trailer park educated. Don't know the metric system. If you don't understand, solar energy was the perfect place for people that don't have high education, that aren't super skilled to get into, to learn a skill, to learn a trade, something that MAGA talks about constantly. For these people to build careers, to get good paying jobs. The Infrastructure Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Microchips, the Science and Chips Act, all of those bills that were put forth by Joe Biden were created to create jobs for the middle class that you could get into. The Chips and Science Act potentially could have brought in 500,000 good paying jobs that give health care, jobs that allow you to buy a house, that allow you to feed your family. Over the next 10 years, 500,000 jobs. And Donald Trump wants to squash it because Joe Biden did it. If you are a MAGA supporter and you worked in green energy or anything that wasn't the dumbass shit that he's talking about constantly, you shot yourself in the foot. Or even better, you cut your own nose off to spite your face. You said, man, I'm going to make them liberals cry. And you did it by slicing off the front half of your face. And you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really have much empathy for you. Because you did this to yourself. And not only did you do it to yourself, but you did it to a bunch of other people that didn't want it to be done to them. That's crazy.
I haven't gotten any calls yet.
I'm on unemployment right now, and in the state of Maine, that's $595 per week, and I pay rent. That's $1,350 a month.
This has nothing to do with our local union or the companies around us bidding jobs. It solely comes down to what's happening in our federal government right now.
We came here to talk to electricians who voted for Trump to understand
Jesus, they did.
how are they thinking about his agenda now that
God
it's costing
damn it.
them work. We're outside Bangor, Maine, and we're headed to meet an apprentice electrician who's been working steadily for the last several years, but suddenly he finds himself unemployed, and he wants to talk to us about why.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Sam.
Braden, come right in.
Thank you so much.
A good friend of mine in high school, he was 3 grades above me, and whenever I'd go over to his house, he'd have $2,000 guitars, like a $5,000 Marshall amplifier. And I'm like, where are you getting all this money, dude? And he's like, well, I'm an electrician. I'm learning to be an electrician. You should do it too.
Braden House is an apprentice electrician who last year voted for Trump.
After finding out I was having my daughter at 17, I'm like, I need money.
Man.
And it ain't going to be spent on guitars and amplifiers. It's going to be spent on diapers and make.
These are the people. These are the people that we want to help, man. It's insane, the brainwashing. Like, how can you listen to Kamala Harris talk about building 150,000 new homes? Talk about helping the middle class. Talk about making the child credit permanent. Talk about taxing the ultra wealthy, taxing capital gains. Building a better America for the middle class. How can you no. Yeah, he didn't listen to a goddamn word Kamala Harris said. What am I saying? This man, I'll tell you what this guy would say. If you asked him, if you said, why didn't you like Kamala Harris? He would say, she doesn't know how to talk good. It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard before. She's a prosecutor. Her job. She was in the Senate. She's a politician. Her job is to talk. That CBS edit that they cut down, that Donald Trump got so mad about, the reason they edited that was because she used more words. And in today's society, if you use too many words, that's stupid. You used too many words, you lost me after the second sentence. And I guarantee this guy, if you asked him why he didn't vote for Kamala Harris, he'd say because she's not very smart. She's not very smart. I guarantee that's what this man would say. These are the people that Kamala Harris wanted to take care of. These are the people that the progressive left wants to take care of. I don't want to see your daughter, man, going hungry. I don't want to see your daughter homeless. I don't, I have enough empathy as a human being to recognize that if I want you to do poorly, that means your children are. And if your children do poorly, that means society does worse. And if your child can't get a good education and your job isn't good and you can't provide food, then things are worse for you, which means that things are worse for the rest of America. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, motherfucker, we trying to help you.
In the future for this kid, I applied to the apprenticeship and heard back in March of 22, and I started work 3 weeks after I graduated high school. I'm a 17-year-old kid. They're asking me like life experience questions. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I work at a Dunkin' Donuts. My first week, I get in, I get a check for $1,300 for a 40-hour week, and I'm like, yep, this is what I'm doing now. I'm sticking with this.
Man.
Obviously, you see the arrays of solar panels, and you see underneath it.
Braden took me to one of the 8 solar projects he has helped build over the last several years.
Nothing beats like just before August, like May to June in a solar field.
I remember being on a solar field one day, and I get an email of my Lincoln Financial account. I'm like, holy shit, I've only been doing this for a year and a half, and I have $3,000 in my retirement account.
Why do you think?
Do you think you can make that much money working the coal mine? You think you can have health care working the coal mine? You think you can have a Lincoln Financial account working the coal mine? Fucking spoiler alert, dog. None of those things exist in the coal mine. None of it. And Donald Trump doesn't want you to unionize either. So if you think, well, man, I'll get a job in the auto factory. First of all, there's not a lot of jobs in the auto factories anymore. Most of them are automated. Second of all, if there's no unions, then the auto factory doesn't pay you good money. You don't get health care, and you definitely don't have a Lincoln Financial account. Like, this is insane. And when you look at what's going on in Texas right now, right? Texas notoriously has had issues with providing enough energy during natural disasters to keep the lights on, to keep the heat on, right? And yet, Texas has started to do better and has been able to keep that grid up and running for longer. And these dipshits will never figure out that the reason behind that is because of green energy. Because Joe Biden said it. They said, did you know that the red states are actually benefiting from the Inflation Reduction Act more than any of the other states? And he said, good. They need it. They don't know what was in the Inflation Reduction Act. They don't know what the Chips and Science Act means for the future of America. These are people that believe we shouldn't be in Ukraine right now. Oh, you don't like being in foreign wars? Oh, you don't like that? They think that we shouldn't be funding Ukraine's defense, right? They ain't got shit to say about Israel, but they got a lot to say about Ukraine. Well, let me help you out with something. What do you think happens when China invades Taiwan? What do you think happens when semiconductor production comes to a halt and every single thing that you have in your home, in your car, at your work, in your pocket, has a semiconductor chip in it? What do you think happens when the country that produces over 90% of America's high-end semiconductor chips gets invaded. The same country that produces over 60 to 70% of the chips that are used in our everyday life. What do you think happens? America has to get involved in that war. And I have other reasons why America should. Humane reasons why America should be involved in that war. But if you're just thinking strictly economically, when China invades Taiwan, America has to defend Taiwan. Because you know why? Because we never brought back those jobs to America. Because we're going to squash the Chips and Science Act, which would have brought those jobs back to America. We have an example in COVID of exactly what happens when China invades Taiwan. During COVID, we saw the price of used vehicles skyrocket. The reason that we saw the price of used vehicles skyrocket during COVID was because people were given stimulus, which allowed them to purchase products. Once again, consumerism, perfection of slavery. So people went out and they bought new cars. But what happens when you can't produce any more new cars because there's no more semiconductor chips to put in those cars that they are filled with? Well, you don't have any more new cars. So the price of used cars goes through the roof because now people buy up all the used cars, and the people that are selling the cars recognize this is their chance to take advantage of you and start price gouging you. Like, these people can't think further than their nose, right? Like, whatever is right in front of their face, and this is why Trump's rhetoric is so successful with these people. Hate, anger, fear, vitriol, those things are really easy to just put directly right in front of a person's face, and they can't see anything past that. Everything behind that is a blur. These people can't think further than what they've been told by Fox News. They look at that and they go, yeah, I should be angry. We need to get the immigrants out of here. We got to stop being in Ukraine. Not foreign wars anymore. We don't say that anymore. Just Ukraine. That's it. And they don't even know, like, the solution is literally just a little to the left. It's fucking insane.
The work was so steady.
Because there were so many solar projects. You can't go anywhere in the state without seeing a solar field or multiple.
It kept every electrician in our local union employed.
Scott Cuddy is a longtime electrician out of the same union local as Braden. He told me that until recently, there were so few jobs for electricians that they had to take across-the-board pay cuts to get work.
We had 0 solar projects going on for years and years and years. Guys were traveling to other jurisdictions to go work on solar projects.
That started to change in 2022.
Oh, we about to talk
President
about it.
Biden's signing of the Inflation Reduction Act today comes after more than a
Did not pre-watch. I just know my shit.
year of negotiations among Democrats in Congress.
The Inflation Reduction Act was the largest federal investment in clean energy jobs in American history. It provided tax credits that encouraged business to build renewable projects like solar, wind, and battery storage. And as those projects multiplied, the landscape for skilled trades workers transformed.
The rate for a union electrician is currently about $39 an hour. In 2020, we were at about $29, $30 an hour. So we have seen an enormous increase in the wages for the people doing the work, and that's because
Ask UPS workers. So UPS is offering severance now to their workers. Why are they doing that? Why are they embracing automation now? Why are they doing that? Because a pro-union president no longer occupies the highest office in the country. When I have a friend who works for UPS. When he started, he was making about $18 an hour. He was working in the warehouse. When he moved to being a driver, he moved to like 21, right? And then slowly, over the next, not slowly even, UPS actually pays really well, just so you guys know. Not financial advice. UPS pays really well. But over the next 4 or 5 years, he was going to make about, I think like 35 was their cap. And then they go on to get cost of living increases. They get really good benefits. They get tons of vacation, paid holidays. Their overtime is out of this world. And because of the contract that was partially pushed by a pro-union president, Joe Biden, now they make something like 43, I think is their cap. And they start making that within 4 years or 5 years of driving. plus the benefits, plus the vacation, and everything else. And now, within 6 months of Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States, they are now asking those drivers to retire, to quit, and they have fired or laid off, I believe, something like 2,500. This isn't rocket science. This isn't hard. If as Trump was going out of office, these guys were making $29 an hour, and then as Joe Biden is instituting the Infrastructure Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, all of a sudden you're making $39 an hour. You don't need to be a fucking genius to recognize that when the liberal president, the Democrat is in office, you made more money. Yet these dipshits will claim that during 2017 to 2020, they made the most money they've ever made in their lives, brother. It's fucking insane. It's not rocket science. This is easy fucking math, even for a Trump supporter. Crazy.
Because when you have work to do, you get bargaining power.
They were so desperate for people, they'd raise the amount of money they'd pay you per
that
hour
5 alarm?
to get you there, and
See
it was
you, bud?
competitive. Companies were competing on how much they would pay their guys to get the amount of guys that they needed to finish these solar fields. Solar, it fed my family.
Competition.
Solar lined my pockets. And it gave me work for years.
Take me through your thinking. What was your thinking when you decided to vote for Trump?
When I voted for Trump, my big thing was I agreed with his stance on immigration. I agreed with his idea of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
Yeah, how'd that work out? You know what they're doing on tips now, right? You know that you don't get taxed on your tips now. Instead, it goes into your total income for the year, and you get taxed appropriately at the end of the year. Like, these people, they just get offered stuff, and then they never look at the fine print. And let's just be honest. Everybody wants to say, oh, I agree with no tax on tips, or no tax on Social Security. Also a lie. Also a lie. They say that. But let's be honest. Let's be 100%. You voted for Trump because he made you scared of brown people. That's what it was. 24/7 sold the fear that if you don't vote for him, that you will eventually be replaced by some immigrant that came across the border after walking across 2 countries with a fucking child on their hip. That's what you thought. You thought that after years of working in the solar industry, that some dude from fucking Honduras was going to come across the border and steal your job. That's insane. And you want to know the reality? The funniest thing about that is that Trump embraces H-1B visas. And just like Vivek said, we don't see a lot of Vivek anymore. We don't see Vivek. They did something to that man. He gone. They embrace H-1B visas. You know the jobs that immigrants are going to start taking? It ain't going to be in the fields, dog. It ain't going to be as an electrician. Well, actually, it's going to be probably electricians. That is actually probably high enough up there. There's a bar that they bring H-1B visa people in for. They're indentured servants with education. It's like the perfect fucking thing for these people. They can bring these people over on H-1Bs. They can threaten to deport them if they don't do a good job. They can pay them less than other Americans, and they can get better work for them. So actually, I'm wrong. They're going to take your job. Yeah, that's ironic. That's really ironic.
I liked his stance on no new wars. And now we're seeing the exact opposite happen. The immigration thing and Palestine were 2 of the biggest things that turned people off to the Biden administration and to the potential Harris administration. At least in who I've spoken to on job sites.
What was your reaction when Trump was elected?
I was not surprised.
But were you happy? I mean, you voted for Trump.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Happy's not the right word. I was indifferent. I was more, great. The better of 2 evils. Let's hope nothing goes bad. And then now it's going bad.
Since January, at least
And that's why when people say they're all the same, both parties is like, I can't deal with that shit anymore. You can disagree with Kamala Harris's policies. You can disagree with Kamala Harris's history. I will fucking fight you on that because I debunked so much of that shit leading up to the election. All the shit about Kamala Harris putting people in prison. Kamala Harris was actually one of the most forgiving district attorneys. 45 people out of all of those people that were arrested over her 7 years, 45 people did time. Most people were given rehab. In fact, the program that she created while she was in San Francisco reduced recidivism to a 50%, from 50% to 10%. Recidivism was 50%. And the people that went through her program, it reduced recidivism to 10%. It was so successful, that program that Kamala Harris put in San Francisco. It was so successful that states across the country, including red states like Georgia, or I guess it's purple, they instituted it in their police force as well. Like, you can disagree. There's plenty of people on the left that I have disagreed with over Kamala Harris. But it is not the same. It is not the same. You cannot look at Donald J. Trump and look at Kamala Harris and say, 2 birds, 1 wing, brother. You know what I'm saying? If that is your opinion, you're lazy. I don't give a shit if you're in here. Matt's probably like, don't do this. Matt's like, don't do this, Ginger. These aren't my subs I'm losing anymore. I'm sorry, Matt. But it's real. That's what you get from me. You're going to have me on this channel. This is what you're going to hear from me. If you think it's 2 birds, or two wings, 1 bird, you're lazy. You're fucking lazy. Because it took me probably a month, I would say, once I knew that Kamala Harris was running. And I knew all the shit that was said about her. And I started out just like a lot of people. I was like, I heard she put people in prison for weed. I don't like that. I heard that she denied a man's request for appeal on death row. I heard that she doesn't speak well. I heard all those things. And now I have a 18-page document of all the accomplishments of Kamala Harris. Of all the times that she fought for consumers. All the times that she fought against the death penalty. All the times that she did things that were surprisingly progressive to me. Because I was an establishment Democrat, right? Establishment Democrat. So if you don't know those things and you're still saying 2 wings, 1 bird, it's because you're fucking lazy. And I don't care if you're on the left, I don't care if you're right, or you claim you're independent. If you still believe that shit, it's because you're lazy. Sorry if that hurt your feelings.
$14 billion of renewable energy projects have been canceled or put on hold across the U.S., including 3 big solar and battery developments in Maine.
The February union meeting of this year, of 2025, the business manager during his report said, guys, I can chart out full employment to mid-2027 right now. At the March union meeting, he said, we're going to be looking at 50% unemployment this summer. It went from, I can see full work, get your strength back so you can get back out on the job for the next thing, till 2027, to we will be at 50% unemployment this year. The uncertainty has devastated the construction industry in Maine.
Insane.
I think an important point in this is the tax credits aren't even gone yet.
A week after this conversation, Republicans in Congress passed Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, drastically scaling back investments in solar and wind. The bill rapidly phases out the Inflation Reduction Act's clean energy investments, preserving funding only for projects up and running in the next 18 months. That will likely derail hundreds of billions of dollars of planned construction and eliminate hundreds of thousands of jobs.
Yeah, what did the electricians union say? They said that Trump's policies will eliminate something like 800,000 electrician jobs. Crazy. That is fucking crazy. You know that in the private sector, the last jobs report, they lost 33,000 jobs. Did you know that over the first like 4 months of Trump's presidency, the retail and leisure industries, private industries, lost 64,000 jobs? So when they show you some bullshit numbers from Donald Trump, don't forget, once again, those numbers aren't me and you. Those numbers don't reflect what is happening in middle-class America, and it damn sure don't reflect what's going on in my life. Right now, Walmart is cutting jobs. UPS is cutting jobs. Big businesses are going bankrupt. Prices are going up. Tariffs are taking effect. And places like Walmart are pricing in for it. Places like Target are pricing in for it. When they show you bullshit jobs numbers where Trump's like, well, it's actually still growing, and you get these dumbass fucking completely right-sided fucking economists that go on there and go, actually, they said a lot of bad things were going to happen, but so far it's pretty good. You need to recognize two things. First of all, they're not giving you the statistics that matter. They're giving you the nice ones that they want you to be like, oh, actually, see, it wasn't that bad. Second, we just started. It only gets worse from here. The economy and the sentiment of the consumer are terrible. You think that, if you're a person that's like, the economy was actually kind of bad under Joe Biden, you are about to find out exactly how bad this economy can get. Because this is just the beginning. We're not halfway through. We're 6 months in, dog. We're just getting started. You better diversify your portfolio. If it wasn't for the fact that fucking the stock market decided that Trump's a coward and will not follow through with, once again, his tariffs being pushed back now to August. If it wasn't for the stock market recognizing how much of a coward Donald J. Trump is, if it wasn't for that, the stock market would be in the 30s right now. The only reason that the stock market is still as high as it is because they're like, don't worry, this dude's a coward. He ain't going to do none of that shit. He ain't going to do none of it. That's the only reason. And by the way, the stock market don't mean shit to you or me. The stock market is a great indicator of how the wealthy people in our society are doing. So that should continue to go up. The wealthy people in our society are going to continue to do better and better every fucking year without a doubt. But I made this argument when MAGA supporters would come into my chat during upcoming moving towards the election. Sorry, I said, why do you think Biden, before Biden dropped out, why do you think Biden should go? And they're like, this economy. I'm like, okay, so explain to me what's wrong with the economy. They're like, it's bad. All right, what do you mean it's bad? I'm like, because by every metric, GDP, the stock market, what do you mean? Because all those metrics say that the economy is good. They go, well, you just need to look around, bro. And this just shows the short-sightedness, because I can make their argument better for them. The reason that people saw Joe Biden's economy as being a bad economy is because the middle class is no longer the middle class. What we now have is we have the impoverished, and then we have the lower middle class, which are the impoverished, and then we have the middle class, which are the working poor. The middle class is not the middle class. They are the working poor. They work paycheck to paycheck, and they continue to go into debt every single year. They never save anything. Now, the upper middle class is now the middle class. Because the upper middle class is now the middle class, now the middle class is smaller. The reason that it felt so bad to be middle class or below under Joe Biden's economy, one was because of COVID and a pandemic, and the fact that we were literally skipping across the surface of a recession, which Joe Biden did a great job of keeping us out of. That the Fed, Jerome Powell, not that I give two shits about that dude, but he kept us out of a recession. The reason that it felt so bad was because of the pandemic, and because the middle class continues to bear an unfair burden a completely unfair burden. The engine of this country, the middle class, continues to be the only people that are paying into social safety nets at a percentage of wealth that harms them. The middle class continues to bear the burden of social safety nets and the burden of the greater share of their wealth to pay the taxes to keep this country running. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. The reason that this economy sucks for the middle class and below is because the ultra wealthy does not pay the amount of money that it should be paying. There should be no cap on Social Security. There should be taxes on unrealized capital gains. There should be a progressive tax that continues to move higher and higher the more money that you make. And every fucking loophole that these people abuse should be closed, and they should be fined for abusing them. The IRS should have 80,000 more employees. You know why? Because the IRS gets $7 back from the ultra wealthy for every dollar they spend. The IRS, on the other hand, when you have people that make less than $200,000 a year, the IRS makes $1 for every dollar they spend. So them going after people in the middle class doesn't even make sense. This is why Donald Trump wants to fund ICE, but wants to defund the IRS. And it's the same reason that when a liberal president or a Democratic president is in office, they want to fund the IRS, and they don't put a ton of money into ICE. Mind you, Joe Biden did attempt to put more money into the border with a Republican bill, which they got rid of. Anyways. The way we have a better economy for me and you is not by voting for Donald Trump. It's the exact opposite. It was for voting for Kamala Harris.
When did you realize this would affect you?
It really hit me about 2 weeks into my layoff, because at first it was like, yeah, these layoffs should only last 1 or 2 weeks. And then the 4th week came around, and that's when it really hit me that we might be in for no work for a while.
Braden is one of 66 apprentices in his union who've been laid off since April. He's now on a waiting list for the next job, with nearly 30 people ahead of him.
I've seen 3 people move off that list in the last 60 days. In summer, usually everyone's employed. Usually there's enough work that everyone's employed. Right now, seeing only 3 people move in 60 days, it's bleak.
Oh, it's going to get worse.
I will terminate the Green New scam immediately. It's the greatest scam.
They love to have the guys standing behind them in the hard hats when they have a press conference, but when it comes to doing the actual policy that will actually help us, we have that policy in place right now. It's the IRA. It's helped bring more people into the trades. It's helped us get paid more, and this is across the board. The policy's in place. If you just let the policy survive, we'll be fine.
This is a great bill. This is going to be a great bill for the country.
I think he could swallow his pride. He's cutting the things that Joe Biden did that made labor so good in the name of,
oh, you're almost there, brother.
I don't like Joe Biden, so I don't want to stand for anything he stood for.
Oh, he's almost there.
But you shouldn't be cutting something that your predecessor did that was good because he's your predecessor. You should continue to build on the good things he did. If it's creating jobs, if it's boosting the economy, why get rid of it?
We all know the answer to that question. He just said the answer to the question. Look, Braden, you'll never see this video, but Braden, if you do see this video, my dude, we don't want you to do bad. We want you to learn the lesson, and we want you to do better in the future. But I don't think, I mean, for as mad as we get, right? And I know some of you are like, fuck you. I hope that dude goes poor. I know that. I understand. Like I said, we agree on everything. Braden, man, I don't want to see you broke. I don't want to see your kid not eating. But you also got to admit that what you did, who you voted for, it was stupid, man. It was a mistake. And you need to say, at least to yourself, and Specifically, I think the country needs this. You need to say this to everybody else, too. I was wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying the words, I was wrong. We have a thing in America, American exceptionalism, right? We're always number one. We're always the best. We never do anything wrong. American exceptionalism. We won every war, even the ones we didn't. Always American exceptionalism. People in America always say, failure is not an option. Hear that in the military a lot. Failure is not an option. Your bosses, failure is not an option. Failure is not only an option, it's actually an incredibly important part of your narrative. It's what builds character. It's what makes you understand that how do you make something better without trying. You know that if you don't try, if you don't get up and you don't go out and you don't try, then you'll never get better at it. And that even goes into doing things like this. Like I said, I've only been very political for probably about 2.5, 3 years. Joe Biden was the first president that I voted for because I came out of the trailer park and I was like, I had the same opinion so many people had. My vote doesn't matter. 2 wings, 1 bird, brother. That was me. That's who I was. Like if you would have said 9/11, I've been like, inside job, brother. I used to have a Bakersfield accent too, so. You gotta admit when you're wrong, man. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell and check out that video on the screen now.